defended by 375 fighters and more than 150 anti-aircraft guns. The target was Nakajima Aircraft Company's factory in the Tokyo suburb of Musashino, just 10 miles west of the Imperial Palace. Japan's oldest aviation company, Nakajima, was the largest producer of airframes and engines, punching out half the nation's combat planes and 30% of the engines. The sprawling factory, built in 1938 and expanded throughout the war, now stretched across 130 acres and occupied almost 3 million square feet of floor space. At its wartime peak in May 1944, the plant employed 45,000 workers who could produce, on average, 1,200 airplane engines a month. There is, one intelligence report stated, no more important target in the Jap aircraft industry than the Nakajima engine plant at Musashino. America had invested heavily to arrive at this pivotal moment. The United States had spent $3.7 billion to develop the 4-engine bombers that lined the crushed coral taxiway on Saipan, making the B-29 the single most expensive weapons system of the war. The exorbitant price tag of Boeing's aeronautical monster did not account for the casualty toll, 25,000 dead and wounded, exacted by the capture of the Mariana Islands of Saipan, Tinian, and Guam. This prized Pacific real estate placed Tokyo for the first time within range of American bombers, a fact reflected in the enemy's ferocious fight, including the largest suicide charge of the war, which led to 4,300 Japanese deaths in the span of just 15 hours. On July 7, 1944. It was, recalled Marine Frank Borta, a continuous meat grinder. To the horror of American troops, thousands of Japanese civilians who lived on Saipan had blown themselves up, waded arm in arm into the sea, or jumped off cliffs to avoid capture. It's just the damnedest feeling deep in your stomach when you see somebody die like that, remembered sailor Leonard Bach, especially women and young kids, babies even. 6 days after the June 15, 1944 invasion, the first aviation engineers had waded ashore, tasked with turning the 48-square-mile island into Hansel's Air Base. The job was Herculean. Not only had the battle reduced Saipan's towns and villages to rubble, but the island's few roads could handle little more than bullock carts. Crews labored 24 hours a day, breaking only to watch the bombardment of neighboring Tinian, just 3 miles across the water. The artillery fire was terrific, Major Henry Williams wrote in his diary. The percussions would go right through your head. Engineers, armed with dynamite, jackhammers, and bulldozers, leveled hills, blasted coral quarries, and cut roads through sugarcane fields, moving a staggering 4 million square yards of rock. Crews scavenged a boiler, pipes, and valves from an old Japanese sugar mill to set up an asphalt plant to pave roads and runways. Day and night the equipment continued to turn, one report noted. Sometimes it appeared that only faith and hope kept the wheels turning, but the earth and coral continued to move. Rogue Japanese snipers heightened the challenge, targeting laborers, trucks, and planes in an effort to disrupt progress. Marines picked off an average of 35 to 50 a day. In one of the more dramatic encounters, Second Lieutenant Henry McCoy, armed only with a jammed carbine, jumped into a jeep and gave chase after one enemy fighter who had set fire to a plane, an act that would earn him the Silver Star. He ran over the Japanese soldier, his citation coolly stated, made a circle, and hit the enemy soldier twice again. Climate was another hardship. Tropical downpours drenched the men. The heat was intense. Water was scarce, one journalist observed. The flies pressed unmercifully against sweaty bodies and had to be pried from one's eyes, ears, and nostrils. Workers battled not only dengue fever, but shortages of wire, lumber, and tires, the latter a precious commodity since the rugged landscape shredded truck tires in as little as 17 days. A handful of ordinary 10-penny nails, one Army report noted, were at a greater premium on the island of Saipan than a handful of rubies.